The. To be perfectly honest, I was hesitant to make this video. Do you mind? But writer's block is such a commonly searched for topic, and I'm nothing if not a slave to the algorithms. Writer's block is often spoken of as some kind of affliction that strikes the unsuspecting writer, preventing them from writing for days, weeks, or possibly months. It's described as this kind of binary state. You either have writer's block or you don't. Once it goes away, you can start writing again. And while this accurately describes the problem, I think it's important to realize that writer's block is a symptom caused by a number of different... And while this accurately describes the problem, I think it's important to realize that writer's block is a symptom caused by any number of different issues. The lack of ideas, lack of motivation, and crippling finger paralysis anytime your hands are within 10 inches of a keyboard can be caused by a number of different things. My problem with the way that writer's block is usually approached is that we tend to lump a whole bunch of different issues underneath the guise of one symptom. If you want to truly break away from those problems, then you need to address the root of the issue. And there's all kinds of problems that can cause writer's block. You could be using the wrong process for your writing. You could just be having the beginner's jitters. You might be overcome by perfectionism. You might have been pushing yourself too hard and are suffering from burnout. These are all very different problems, which means they all have different solutions. And this is where a lot of the advice about writer's block, in my opinion at least, tends to miss the mark. Recommending free writing sessions may not necessarily be great advice from somebody who's suffering from burnout. Telling someone to take a break from writing might not be the best advice for someone who really should be trying to build a writing habit. We can propose all kinds of solutions to writer's block that may not be appropriate given the problem that is causing that specific case of writer's block. So with that in mind, for this video, I'm going to avoid prescriptive advice about specific things that could be done to help you overcome writer's block. Instead, I'm going to focus on different areas that you should examine should you find yourself stricken with writer's block. This will help you get to the root of the problem and make it easier to find what solution will work for you. So let's get to the actual content of the video. First, if you're suffering from writer's block, take a look at your process. I'm using process in a very broad sense here, but it basically encompasses how, when, and where you write. Do you write in the mornings or evenings or the middle of the night? Do you write with music on or in a completely soundproof booth? Do you write on a computer? Do you write by hand? Do you carve your writing into stone tablets with bronze tools, which is basically the same thing as writing by hand? You just get beefier forearm muscles after time. What kind of socks do you wear? How high is the relative humidity? What phase of the moon is it? If you're struggling with writer's block, taking a close look at these kinds of things might help. You might have something about your physical environment that is impeding your creativity. Everybody is different. We're all productive at different times of the day and under different circumstances. Changing those circumstances or the time of day that you write might be all that's needed to get you out of your funk. I, for example, write for an hour every morning at 5 a.m. Mainly because it makes me sound really dedicated, but also because my brain turns into mush at 7 p.m. every night. Seriously, I need to write first thing every day or I just don't do it. I procrastinate and spend all day thinking about it and ultimately just keep pushing it off. Also, the aforementioned early evening brain mush thing becomes an issue. But that's me. You may have a completely different set of needs, and figuring out those needs is the first step. My recommendation here is to experiment. Try different times and writing setups, different frequencies and methods, and see if anything clicks. Look after your physical and mental well-being too. If either of those things are out of whack, it can impact your writing. Taking care of yourself is important. Be sure not to overlook that. Next up, have a frank conversation with your inner critic. Now, I am far from a perfectionist, as anyone who watches these blog posts can attest to. But that doesn't mean I'm not critical of my own writing at times. Actually, I'm critical of it most of the time. I should really rewrite that last sentence. While a healthy level of self-criticality can help you to improve, it can become a problem if it interferes with your writing or causes you to set unrealistic expectations for yourself. Dealing with your own inner critic is a very complicated issue and likely warrants a more thorough examination than what I'm giving it here. But as a starting point, here are some things to keep in mind. First, try to avoid comparing yourself to other writers, especially really accomplished ones. Yes, someone who's written a bestseller is probably a better writer than you. They also probably have a lot more experience and practice. They also probably have remarkably similar doubts and feelings about their writing as you do. There's a quote here about comparing yourself to others and how it will make you unhappy, but I can't remember it and can't be bothered to look it up, so... Next, if you're on the first draft, don't worry about being perfect, or even being within a mile of being perfect. First drafts are supposed to suck. I did an entire video on this topic, so go watch that and save the criticism until you get to revision. Another good way to quell the inner critic is to get some external criticism. Get some opinions on your writing from somebody else. Now, getting feedback and giving feedback and reacting to feedback is a topic in its own right, but constructive feedback can not only give you some advice on where you need to improve, but also highlight some strengths within your writing that you may not have noticed. A lot of times when I share my own writing, people react positively and are moved by passages that I either didn't notice or didn't expect to be very memorable. Your writing, as much as it still may need improvement, likely has some strengths in it, strengths you may not even be aware of. Getting some outside perspective can help highlight those strengths for you. It also can serve as a nice motivator to help you get past your writer's block. Lastly, take a look at exactly what you're writing. We've moved on from the inner critic stuff. We're into the next thing. I don't know if that's clear. That probably isn't clear. If you're finding yourself frequently blocked, it could mean that you're writing in the wrong genre or the wrong medium. You might be struggling trying to write novels. Maybe your style is better suited to screenplays or poetry or short stories. Maybe you love mysteries but find writing them to be an absolute pain. Maybe sci-fi or literary fiction or literary science fiction is more up your alley. Experimentation is good for you as a writer. Pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone is a good way to grow your skills. It also might help you find what you are truly interested in writing. I used to have no trouble coming up with plots for everything from heists to mysteries to thrillers, but I always found writing in the real world to be a little confining. I started writing in my own worlds, and it really helped improve things. It gave me a lot more flexibility and allowed me to express myself more as a writer. If you're a new writer, you may have some preconceived ideas about what you want to write, and if you're struggling to write, those ideas might be wrong. If you're feeling stuck, take a look at what you're writing, try some experimentation. There might be something out there that's a better fit for you. Really, when you come right down to it, writer's block is a sign of a bigger problem. It could be something minor and temporary, or it could be something bigger. Overcoming it, like a lot of problems, involves finding what issue is at the root of the problem. Hopefully you found the advice in this video useful, and if you're suffering from writer's block, hopefully it helps you to get out of it. If you want to see more stuff like this, you can check out all my other writing advice videos and subscribe to my channel. I post new writing advice videos every Wednesday. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.